Hello, it's Samantha Nolan-Smith here for a Tuesday morning chat. I'm a little bit late because I was taking care of my Baba, who's not well. But I wanted to talk to you today about self-care while you're speaking up. So what we do at the School of Visibility is obviously we're always working with women on supporting you to speak up, to be seen and heard in the world, to express your opinions, to feel confident about expressing those opinions. And a huge part of that is understanding the self-care component. Because if you speak up and you speak up on issues, particularly if you're speaking up on issues that are controversial and you don't have some self-care in place around that, you can really find yourself burnt out or anxious or mentally stressed about what you're doing, and that is only ever going to undermine your willingness and your capacity to speak up. So I've got 5 tips for you today about maintaining self-care while you're speaking up. And the first of those is making sure that you have a support. You have put in place the various elements of support that you might need. Now that might be, I've got people that I can go to that are my safe people. So when I go out into the world and I speak about my topic, then I've got my safe people that I can go back to, so that I can go, oh God, there was this horrible troll, or oh, there's this hater, and people who would just have got my back and got my back and got my back. It might also, but support might also look like I am really taking care of myself in the rest of my life. I'm in the midst of drinking my green juice right now. And it might be, excuse me, I think I just got a little bit down there. And it might be I'm really upping my game nutritionally so that I feel vibrant, I feel healthy, I feel great in my body. It might be I have got some financial resources and I'm using those to support myself by getting some massages or getting some healing work done, or whatever it is, where if that's an option for you, I'm using the resources that I have there to support me. Or it might be a time resource that you have. Maybe that's I don't have a lot of money now, but I've got more time on my hands, and I can use that to support myself by really using the time well. So I might have time, for example, to read a chapter of my favorite book each day, or go for long walks, or have luxurious baths, or cook beautiful meals that make me feel nourished, and perhaps cooking is something that you really enjoy doing. So there's always ways to support yourself, and the trick really is just to be looking for what is available as opposed to what's not available from a support perspective. So that's number 1. When you're speaking up, always speak up from a place of feeling supported. You don't want to feel that you're speaking up from a place where there's nothing behind you to catch you if you need that. The second is to give yourself permission to disconnect, to not have to speak up about every single topic, or even on your topic in every single instance. And this is part of why the burnout happens, is because once you get known for a particular topic, then there's an expectation that you'll have some opinion about every single thing related to that topic. I see this sometimes with prominent feminists who speak up about a topic, and then they're being asked for commentary on this and that and whatever else, and sometimes that gets people into trouble. Like we saw that with Jermaine Greer, who her topic isn't the transgender community, for example, but because she's a known person and people go to her and ask her for opinions, there are times where you can overstep your boundaries on what what your topic is, because we're just used to saying, oh sure, I'll provide another opinion, I'll provide another opinion. Now you might not be in that circumstance, but you might be in the circumstance where your community is waiting to hear from you on a topic or on a set of events that have happened in the world today. And that's where, before you speak, you just want to check in. Do I have something to say here? Do I have something to say, or can I give myself permission? If not, can I give myself permission to just say, actually, I've got nothing, no comment on this particular topic, but here's a great article I saw from somebody else. Like, we don't always have to be the person who provides the analysis or the commentary or whatever it is. So giving yourself permission to disconnect, even so far as to say, giving yourself permission, first of all, to say no, but also even to disconnect if you need to. So I certainly, after what happened in Christchurch, I just felt like I just need to go and hug my children and be with my family. And so I just shut down sort of internet stuff for about 24 hours, and I just spent time with them and refreshed myself through my connections with my family. And that enabled me then to be able to write a piece about Christchurch, which is very different to what I would have written if I hadn't given myself that downtime. And so sometimes that can look like, oh, I shouldn't disconnect. I might feel guilty about giving myself time, or is that, how I've even have a little story in my head that goes, how dare you take time away when the people who are suffering don't have that privilege and that opportunity. But you don't help somebody by draining yourself. You don't help somebody by sort of vicariously suffering. That doesn't actually support them. But what does support them is you taking care of yourself, and then being able, if you choose to speak up later, being a much clearer channel, a much clearer voice. So that's the second thing. Third thing is always clear whatever's triggering you. So if you're speaking up and you're finding that you're being triggered by the comments that are coming through, from say a video, for example, or from a post that you've done, and people are misunderstanding you, or they're confronting you, or they're challenging you on your opinion, then part of that is building the resilience to be able to have those conversations comfortably and confidently. And that's certainly something that we do at the School of Visibility is support you with that, because being able to be resilient in conversation, and being able to have the difficult conversations, the tough conversations, is massively important. And you need to be able to recognize when you're triggered. When you're triggered, you're not going to be able to be in a constructive conversation, because something is going on emotionally, and the trigger you can feel it in your body. You just feeling distressed, upset on some level. Your brain's like arguing with the other person, even when you're not. Even when you're not actually engaging with them. That's what triggering looks like. So once you get into the habit of recognizing what that is, what that looks like for you, then being sure to take the time to clear that out is really important, because then you can come back into the conversation very clean. And when you get used to doing this after a while, you notice, oh, that conversation was a clean one, and that really wasn't. That was a triggered conversation. And triggered conversations never get anybody anywhere, and they don't advance understanding, and they don't advance connection, and they actually waste everybody's time. So if you don't know what that looks like, what your trigger points are, etc., that's something that we do in much more detail in our program, A Visible Woman. We're opening that next month for registration. We do a lot of this work in much more detail there. Fourth one is reestablish boundaries. So like I said, sometimes we can lose our boundaries when we're being expected to speak up about a topic or a range of topics on a regular basis. And doing a little reset on that, and getting really clear in yourself about these are the things that I am going to speak up about, and these are the things that I'm not going to speak up about, or these are the times that I'm going to engage in conversation, and these are the times where I'm not. So let's say you work in online, not being on social media or having it open 24/7, and really establishing, I just go on 1 hour a day, I engage at that time, and then I come off, and then I'm completely off socials for the rest of the day, and I'm doing the other work. They're the kind of things I'm talking about re-establishing boundaries, so that you don't get sucked into hours upon hours upon hours of conversation, which may or may not actually prove to be particularly fruitful. And then the final tip is to really stay in your lane, when you engage, to engage really in the things that you know about, that you're really passionate about, that you have some expertise in. And this is particularly, I'm talking to if you're a business owner, or you have a personal brand, I'm thinking about that, but this applies in lots of different situations. This applies just speaking up about any topic or making comments about any topic on social media. It's knowing where your limitation is around your knowledge, your awareness about a particular topic. And if you want to be engaged in a topic, but you know that you don't know a lot about it, then participating by observing, by learning, by listening, rather than always by expressing. And then on those topics where you're like, yeah, this is my lane, I know about this, and I know I can contribute something to this, then contributing and conversing in those topics. What I see far too much is just people randomly throwing out opinions about things which they clearly have no background or knowledge or experience in, and that's kind of wastes everybody's time. It's not a constructive conversation. It's not that I'm saying you're not entitled to have an opinion. Of course you're entitled to have an opinion, but you're also in a society, in a community, needing to understand the importance of listening as well as expressing yourself. It's not just about everybody talking about everything all the time. There's a discernment that we need to evolve into, which I'm seeing a little bit of in social medias, but I see a lot of non-discerning engagement, and understanding that developing the capacity to listen is the key to becoming a resonant speaker. Developing the capacity to listen is the key to becoming a resonant speaker, because the listening and the speaking go hand in hand. So speaking up isn't about just talking for the sake of talking. Okay, so they're the 5 things. Support, always speaking up from a place of feeling supported, whatever support looks like for you. Giving yourself permission to say no and disconnect. Clearing whatever's triggering you. Establishing boundaries or re-establishing boundaries if that's what's needed. And this is continual work, by the way. And then engaging in your lane, and listening in the lanes that maybe you want to participate in the future, but recognizing where you are in that, and being humble enough to take the time to listen and learn from others. I hope that's helpful. Let me know which for you is the one that you're working on, that you really need to integrate into your life, or is the one that you really do a lot, that you really love, and you really find it really helpful. And I'll be back later in the week to chat with you about that. I'd love to hear more about and maybe you've got some other self-care practices that you want to suggest for other people as well. And I'd love to hear that too in the comments. Okay, see you soon.